Hey, good morning. Okay, baby, y'all ready to sing? Good morning, everybody. Join us this morning as we confirm that life is so good. Sing along with us. Every day I'm so thankful, thankful. Oh, it's a day on the horizon. All that I am, all I need. Oh, it's just the gratitude shining through me. Nature gives to me a perfect place to be. I keep loving myself so I can see. There's only beauty in you, beauty in me. Oh, together, sing it out, y'all. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. My life is so good. Yes, it is. Precious and good. With every breath I take, with every step I take, it takes me higher on a path of awakening. See through the eyes of love, there's only one of us. So let's be thankful for all that's been given us. No need to live in fear, all of life is here. Let the light come shining in, smiling faces, warm embraces. Stand up and let the whole world know. So grateful, I'm so thankful, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful. My life is so good, it's precious and good, so precious and good. So good morning, everybody. Welcome to Unity of Metairie. We are a loving spiritual family. We honor all lifestyles, all religions, all spiritual paths, believing that within each of us there's the presence of the divine. So we see that light in each other as we are grateful for this day. Know that life is so amazing, life is so good. So let's be grateful today. Y'all sing out with us. I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful, I'm so grateful, I'm so thankful. My life is so, life is so good, life is so good, life is so good. So everybody take just a moment and say hello to your spiritual family with some hugs and handshakes. Welcome everybody. last tug, everybody. Good morning. Hello, everybody. Feeling good today? It is awesome and beautiful outside, and I'm so grateful to be here with my spiritual family on this beautiful Sunday morning. There's music in the air at Jazz Fest. There's love in the air here at Unity of Metairie, and we'd like to welcome everybody that's watching us online today. May you sit there in your pajamas with your coffee or whatever you're wearing and enjoy the service with us. We welcome you. We honor your presence here, as do we honor everyone that's in the room with us today. Whatever brought you here today is perfect and divine. We are exactly where we need to be. So if you're visiting for the first day, we're so glad you found us back here behind the strip mall, behind Fran's. People are always looking for us. So anyway, and then it says here, are you looking for a loving spiritual community? Well, here we are. If you're here for the first time, take one of these packets. Hopefully you have one already. It tells a little bit about what Unity is and what we do, and how Unity works globally around the world. So we welcome you. Take just a moment, too, if you wouldn't mind, to fill out this little card in the back and drop it in the offering at the end to tell us what you thought about the service. So you can see we're kind of a halfway crazy, fun, loving bunch. So if you're here for the first time, just sit back and relax, and we welcome you here. Let's all just relax. I know I need to take a deep breath. Like somebody's running around this morning. Breathing in, allowing myself to just become present here the best you can. Just begin to let go of any concerns or ideas or schedules or lunch or things that need to be done. Bring all of your attention here and now. For this is exactly where we need to be. We have come together in the name of love, in the name of life, acknowledging that divine presence within each and every one of us. And so for this time together, we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Knowing that this group of people in this space and this time will never, ever happen like this again. So this is a holy, special, and sacred time we do not take for granted. We turn this entire time over to this magnificent spirit of wisdom and life, knowing that whatever needs to be said will be said, and whatever needs to be heard will be heard, as we breathe in the beauty and the life and the love of this wonderful, amazing spiritual community. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Speaking of wonderful and amazing, we have a group of nice kids here today. You guys want to come up and join us? We're going to bless them. We're having some work done on the kids' room, and we appreciate Carla and Ken for all the work they're doing back there. So the kids are going to be sitting out here and joining us today. Their room is indisposed as they sand and paint and get ready to put the new floor down. Thank you, Carla and Ken, for all the work you've been doing. We appreciate it so much. So we'll maybe do some fun stuff with the kids. Actually, today is about visioning, and why not have them out here with us as we vision for the future of our spiritual center. So we love you guys, and we're going to give these guys a blessing, and as we do, we're going to send that blessing to children all around the world. May they recognize that within them is something powerful and amazing, the very presence of God. So say with me today, children of light, we bless you. We see you loved, guided, and protected by God's presence. And New Orleans style, we love you hard, hard, hard. We swear to God. All right, you guys stay up here for just a minute. You guys come back. Sorry about that. Because today is a special day. We need your assistance. And all of you listening online today, you need to practice your we love you hard, 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 I swear to God. So you can join in with us at home next time around. So today is birthday Sunday. So whose birthdays do we have going on? And look at her. The diva arrived right when we were announcing her, making her entrance. Besides Marion, do we have any birthdays? Okay, who else? We're just doing May, right? Yes. Okay, just May. All right, Catherine, come on up. Don't be afraid. We're not going to bite. We just have cake for you. Did we miss April? I'm hearing. We did April? Okay. That's okay. Marion's coming. We'll wait till she comes in. She's going to make an appearance. You know, she's got to be her diva appearance. Anybody else? Your birthday? You mind coming up? We want to embarrass you. We just want to sing to you. All right. She's like, I just came to this crazy place, and they're bringing me up to the front. And they're putting me online on Facebook. So we just want to sing happy birthday to you. We're not going to buy or do anything. And we have a beautiful, wonderful birthday cake. So after service is over, make sure and get some birthday cake and welcome all these people. Well, here she comes, y'all. The entrance of the... I didn't know what their song was. Give it up for Miss Marion. You almost missed your birthday. And you would have complained and said, y'all didn't do a birthday for me, y'all. It's Marion's birthday. Look at all these beautiful people having a birthday today. So I had the kids stay up here with us so they can help us sing out. And you guys sing out loud to all our birthday people. You ready? Clear your throats. Me, 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 me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. And say, God loves you. Happy birthday. God loves you. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Thank you, guys. We do love you hard, hard, hard. We swear to God. And as I mentioned, don't forget to get a piece of cake to celebrate before you head out today. We appreciate it. Who made the cake today, Samantha? Valerie made one as well. Thank you so much. So enjoy some cake on their behalf. I started saying years ago, Appearance Day. It just seems to be a better word, knowing that we're, it's kind of deep, I guess, but knowing that we can't be birthed because we're eternal, but we can appear somewhere. So as you have appeared here, you brought a blessing to our lives and to this world. We're told that we are the light of the world. So shine that light today on your birthday. We won't ask your age or anything, so she doesn't care. So let's just breathe in, becoming centered as we move into a deeper time of relaxing, being present, enter into our service where we acknowledge that divine presence in each other as we listen to the inspiring thoughts from our magazine, The Daily Word.
Today's Daily Word, Sunday, May 6, 2018, helping others. I am grateful today for every opportunity to be of service to others. Again and again in his earthly ministry, Jesus called us to have faith, the faith of a child, faith as small as a mustard seed. We may assume that it's only with enough faith we can do the work that is ours to do. Today, I recognize that quite the opposite is true. By reaching out, extending love, and helping others in their human experiences, my faith grows. Belief becomes easy when I can clearly see the spiritual power my actions create. My choice then is not of a blind faith, but a perceptive faith. I recognize the good I can create in the world, and I strengthen my faith through the actions I choose. Today's scripture is taken from Luke 6:38, and it reads, "Give it, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will be put into your lap. For the measure you give will be the measure you get back."
Wow, such true words. And this morning we also light at the front of our sanctuary here our Christ candle, which is simply a representation of that light within each of us. There's only one candle here because it represents this one presence, one power, one magnificent being that we all are. We are all part of a beautiful tapestry that's called life. May we awaken to know this and remember. May this candle burn throughout our service as a reminder that within us there is light. And that no matter what is happening today, no matter what circumstances are going on, that within us there is a place of perfection, a place of peace, a place of prosperity. We let go of any remaining thoughts and ideas and just relax into this moment, knowing that right here, right now, we are exactly where we need to be. It is impossible to be out somewhere we should not be, for the mind of God unfolds perfectly, and we are part of this perfection of life. Right here, right now, we come into the presence of God because we are here. This presence is within us. This presence is us. Right here, right now. Right here, right now. We have come into the presence of God, and our hearts are open to the love that's found right here, right now. Right here, right now. We have come into the presence of God, and our hearts are open to the love that's found right here, right now. And our hearts are open, and our hearts are open to the love that's found right here, right now. It's so beautiful hearing the kids sing with us. They're usually in the back. You guys sounded awesome singing along. It really inspires me to hear those young ones singing and reminding me. And to remind ourselves the quickest, most direct way to move into that space within us that is holy and perfect, just as God created us, through stillness, through silence. We have to move underneath the noise and the chaos and the confusion of this crazed world, knowing that within us there is a place of eternal, blessed peace. There is a place where there is only love. There is only life. There is no death. There is no illness. There is only the perfection of life of God. That place is within you right now. There's nothing to wait for. Nothing else that you have to do. You automatically inherit this perfection. You were created in the image and likeness of God. We can only hear this voice reminding us of who we are as we move into the stillness, into the quiet. Sometimes we call this meditation. Sometimes we call this prayer. It doesn't matter. But I would invite you this morning to join me as we journey within. As best we can, turning all of our thoughts away from the world and its commotion and its news. Moving through the stillness to that vast space within us, where we recognize our true self, our essential self, spirit, whole, perfect, complete. So allow yourself to just relax. Feel your body becoming still. Take a moment to see if there's any tension you may still be holding on to. Allow your legs to be free and flowing. Feel your abdomen relax. Release any tension from your chest. As you breathe deeply, allow your shoulders to gently drop, feeling the natural force of gravity. Letting go of any tension in your neck, your forehead. Allow your face to soften and become still. Watching your breath as you breathe in deeply. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. you breathe in and letting go, releasing. Become the watcher of your breath. Use your breath as a mantra, as a place to focus on. If your mind wanders, becomes filled with thoughts, use your breath as a way to become still and quiet and empty. For in this emptiness we find everything that we need. The answer to every question. The solution to any problem we think we have. We find healing for any dis-ease. For in this sacred space, when our mind is empty and our body is still, we begin to see ourselves as God sees us. Created in its image, loving, vibrant, alive. Forever loving, forever loved, safe. We realize that through grace, that no matter what has happened in our life on this journey, in this experience, that nothing can change what God has created whole. And in this moment, you are that wholeness. You are that perfection. To allow ourselves to be still as we listen to that quiet voice within that is always there, waiting patiently for you to look within, touching the stillness, moving into the silence. Just as your body has become still and quiet, so allow your mind to become empty. Letting go of any thoughts or ideas or worries or concerns. Just being still. For in the stillness we find God, and therefore we find ourselves. For in that quiet place between your thoughts, the gap. This is where miracles happen. This is where we get answers. So we listen in the silence, hearing those words that say, be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that all is well, regardless of what appears in your life. Be still and know that you are loved, you are safe, held in the hands of grace. So we breathe in this life, this stillness, and this love. Listening in the quiet, in the emptiness, in the silence. this place of stillness, once again, breathe in with gratitude. Recognizing who we are, the beloved, holy expressions of God, created in its image and likeness, completely untouched by anything that has ever happened in this world. For this time together, we say thank you, God, knowing that every encounter is a holy encounter. We are grateful for this time together, and so it is. Amen. So good morning once again. Good morning, guys. Kids over here. Oh my God, you're all girls. What's up? We're glad you're here with us today. I hope it's not too boring, because we won't have as much fun as you guys have. But, huh?
It wasn't boring to me because I saw my light.
You saw what?
My light.
Your light? Wow. Well, we need to go home. I can't say I'm speechless. And that's a big thing for me. Thank you, Abby. That was so beautiful. No, I'm serious. It's like, what else do we need to know? I mean, she just spoke it there. So I'm glad that they're joining. And today I'm going to be talking about visioning. And we're actually going to do some visioning together. If you were here last week, I talked about imagination and how I'm just understanding how powerful imagination is. And I've been listening to Neville Goddard once again, nonstop, all week long. Check him out on YouTube. Amazing, amazing work. He latched on to this idea of imagination and how powerful it is in a very clear and concise way. And that's why I love. I mean, he says stuff that, we've all heard this stuff before, but sometimes people have a gift to say something a certain way, like in one sentence that just crystallizes it. You go like, oh, I get it, after all this other stuff. So I've been listening to him and just getting the glimpse of what it means that imagination is actually God. That's what God is. God is our imagination, because from our imagination and the power that the imagination brings, come forth everything in our life. That's where everything comes from our imagination. And, I look at these little ones here, and, I remember being that age, and I had a wild imagination. I just thought that nothing was impossible. Do you ever remember that? Do you remember a time when you just thought, well, nothing's impossible? There were times that I remember where anything I thought I could do, it never occurred to me that it wasn't going to happen. And I manifested all kind of things that I didn't realize what I was doing. I'll never forget the world-famous trampoline that my mom had issues with for her entire life, because I have a sister 20 years older than me, Betty. I got to spend time with her yesterday at my niece's college graduation, and I'm so grateful for her, because Betty was also the first person that taught me piano lessons when I was 3 years old. She saw me go to the piano and bang, da 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 da, but then I started playing a little song, and she said, oh my God, he's playing some little song, and so she started giving me lessons when I was 3 years old, so I'm eternally grateful to her. And so Betty, though, was like a second mom to me, because she was 20 years older. And the first event I ever went to as a tiny, tiny baby, she graduated from college in December. I was born in October. So the first event I ever went to where my mom held me was to my sister's college graduation. So can you imagine the family dynamics? My mom, who's almost 50 at this point, she's 40-something at this point. She's holding a newborn baby and then watching her other child graduate from college. It's kind of crazy. Anybody else have big gaps like that in your family? You do? How much is yours, Samantha?
Well, my kids are 10.5 years apart.
10.5 years, okay. Anybody else? Sue?
My nephew, I have a 20-year-old nephew and a 6-year-old nephew.
Oh, so that's pretty close then. That's 14 years. And a couple other people? Catherine, you said?
My father, my husband was 52.
Your father was 52, yeah. My dad was, I think, 47. He was a little bit older than my mom. And one of the things about that was, and it used to embarrass me, I wish I would have embraced it, but when I was little, my dad being a minister, he made his own schedule. So he got to go with us to a lot of field trips and stuff, and like chaperone. And never failed, the kids would say, oh, you brought your grandpa. And when I was little, I wish I would have embraced that and said, yeah, I love him. He's my papa. I guess he could be my grandpa. He was old enough to be my grandpa. But, as a child, being conscientious, it really embarrassed me. And, but now I embrace it and go, how wonderful. He was very wise by the time I was born and had raised 3 wild girls. So, by the time they got to me, it's like, how like the second and third kid, they just come and go, whatever. I mean, they hardly change the diaper and just like put you up somewhere, I used to tease my mom because if you look at my sisters, they all have baby books. I don't know if they still do that, but when the baby was born, they got this big book and they would put their little picture in the front and then they would just fill it with pictures like showing all the milestones, the first step. Did you do that with your kids? With her, but not Jackson. Yeah, like I said, Crystal's second child, she's like, whatever. And Abby probably has like thousands of pictures, and there's none of Jackson. Yeah, that's all on Facebook now. And so my older sister Betty, she had this book, and my mom took tons of pictures of her. There's like just tons of pictures of every stage in her life. And then my other 2 sisters as well. And then she didn't even put anything in my baby book. I found it. And someone gave it to her, I think it was like at a nursery, like a shower, a baby shower. And all it said in the front, because they had not named me yet, whoever gave it to her just wrote in the front, Fowler Boy. And that's all it says. I just have a baby book that says Fowler Boy. And not one picture in it. It's insane. And of course, when I was little, I was so upset for that because there was all these thousands of pictures of my older sister, and there's like Fowler Boy, and you open it and it's still clean. There's nothing in there. But anyway, I got over it. And one of the ways I got over it was that my oldest sister, being 20 years older than me, was already a professional. She was very successful in her career and retired quite a few years ago because she's now 74. And she worked in the school system, a teacher, then became an administrator and worked herself up and had a really wonderful career, was very dedicated. And because of that, she was a career woman. She never married, she never had kids. And so guess who had 2 moms then, And guess what 2 moms mean? Double income. Double income. And so this all brings back to the story that I was saying. What I manifested was I wanted a trampoline so bad. I mean, I wanted a trampoline. It was, do people still get trampolines anymore, or is that an old faded fad? Any of the kids that still have a trampoline? You do? You had one before? You still have one?
No, we just got rid of it.
Just got rid of it.
We had the nets and everything now, the pads.
The nets and pads. We didn't have that. You just like break your neck off and get back up. You guys had one too?
We had one, and it's, my little sister's boyfriend came over and jumped on it once and went right through it.
Oh, it had been sitting there a while then, huh? It probably been sitting there a while then if you jump right through it. Well, I was, I would love to do this thing where you get somebody on there, you could torture them. I figured out this way that if you stood right and kind of went like this, and then they would like shoot you up in the air, and like our friends were afraid to come over. But the way I got the trampoline, that's the whole thing about manifesting, is my mom said, no trampoline, no way ever, you're not going to trampoline, end of story. So my mom would always say that she would say something like that, and I would get a smirk on my face and go to my room, and then she'd hear me on the phone whispering, and then whatever I'd ask her for by that afternoon or next morning would be delivered to the front yard. Because I would call my sister, Betty, who had disposable income. She didn't have a child, and she, treated me like a child. I mean, by the time I was 5, she was 25 years old. So that's how I got the trampoline. And I really look back now and think the reason I got the trampoline is because I really believed I was going to get a trampoline. I didn't care what my mom said. She was really upset about it though. She was like, I don't want him to have a trampoline. And there it was, and I'm jumping on it. And she's like, oh Lord. But, and then I remember, just on a sad note too, my mom later said, I told you this because a guy in high school named Ralph, he actually seriously damaged his spinal cord and is to this day in a wheelchair. And she told me, and we actually got rid of it after that because that really scared me in high school. But when we're little in this young age, our imagination hasn't been knocked out of us yet. We haven't had that, people say a dose of reality, but that's not reality. That's the world's reality, and that's not the parameters in which we work if we choose to be an unlimited being, which we are. And these guys probably have like great visions and dreams within their mind. What do you guys want to be when you grow up? So I'm going to include them today since they're here. Tell us in the mic. Can you come up, Felicity?
I want to be a doctor and help people.
Awesome. And I love that she didn't say nurse, like a lot of times, we stereotype that and say, and Felicity, you got any ideas?
A worldwide veterinarian.
Oh, wow. Worldwide. She's like going global. I love that. What do you want to do, sweetie?
I want to be a scientist.
A scientist. Well, look at this group of, and you know, these girls, whatever they put their mind to, you can do it. And no matter what anybody says, don't pay attention to those crazy people. They're just mad because you're so young and smart and intelligent and beautiful and can do anything you want. They just haven't figured that out yet. But we do get that, you know, finally we get to school and we start hearing these messages which start chipping away at our unlimited nature. You know, it just starts chipping away and people start telling us, well, you can't do that. You're crazy. You're too short. Or you can't. You know, I hear so many stories like the woman that wrote the song. Remember the song The Rose? That Bette Midler song, Some Say Love Is, that sappy little song. Lord, I remember I used to play for weddings, and when that was popular, I had to play that dang song over a million times. I just hate it. That and I Will Always Love You. I just can't. I'll never hear again. But I remember her thing was Amanda McBroom, I think was her name, and I remember her using her as example when I was songwriting full-time in Nashville, because she took that song to all these song publishers, you know, trying to get someone to record it. I think she got rejected like 115 times. It was a big, you know, huge number. And anybody else would have probably given up. But there was something within her that knew this is something special, and she just kept going at it. But most of us, you know, when that imagination and that vision gets knocked away with us, we just begin to settle. I mean, we just settle for what we have. I mean, we just settle for what is. And sometimes we actually use spiritual words to try to justify our settling. And I've done this a lot, where I really dreamed of something, but I was afraid to take that step, that big step into it. And I would say things like, oh, it's just how it's supposed to be, and this is perfection unfolding, which that is true, but we can also use these words to justify being afraid to take steps. Have you ever done that before? You can actually turn around and use so-called spiritual ideas to not be brave and take that step. And I've done that many times. But the bottom line is within you, and I tell you, Neville Goddard has got me so fired up listening to this. I just listen to it nonstop. Just how powerful the imagination is, and we just kind of take it for granted. We don't realize that we're this huge, creating, powerful machine that's just chugging out everything. And I got into a lot of detail about that last week. But today I want to talk more about visioning and what visioning is, because Neville talks about that a lot as well, and it goes hand in hand with imagination and faith. And once again, just that concept, he says over and over, he says, the way to really get things cooking in your life, now I'm kind of paraphrase that, because he's very proper when he speaks, is that realize this simple fact, that your imagination is God. Your imagination is God. He takes a lot of time redefining that. And when you really think of it that way, it makes things start to turn around. It makes things start to move a little bit. I looked up vision in the dictionary because I wanted to see exactly some ideas for it. So I'm just going to read all of them, and it's a wide variety of things. It says, the act or power of sensing with the eyes, sight. And I think this is the most limited one because it's depending on our five senses, and the deepest vision within us doesn't depend on what we see or feel or touch. The biggest vision is in the invisible. But still, this is an example, a definition, the act or power of sensing with the eyes, sight. The second one says, the act or power of anticipating that which will or may come to be. Now, this is getting a little closer. It's getting a little bit closer. The act or power of anticipating that which will or may come to be. And what I would do is take or may come out, because or may is kind of like the doubt, and change it to say the act or power of anticipating that which will come to be. That takes it to another level of power. The next one is an experience in which a personage, thing, or event appears vividly or credibly to the mind, or, although not actively present, often under influence of divine or other agency. Ooh, it's getting juicy now. And the example they use is a heavenly messenger appeared in a vision. For me, I've talked about this before, and I'm really jealous of people that see things when they meditate and they have deep spiritual experiences. I am not sensory that way, and I used to think something was wrong with me. because I would go to these classes and several people would talk about vision and visioning, and they would say, I went into this deep meditation and I was breathing the ocean and I got into the silence and this angel appeared that was beautiful, appeared across the ocean, and then this dove swooped down and brought her a corn chip and, and all these things. And I was like, I don't see a darn thing. Like nothing. Nada. I hear things. I mean, I get song ideas. That's what happens to me. The best songs I've ever written happen during meditation, including my song In the Silence, which by far is the most far-reaching song I've ever written, is being used all over the world in different varieties of church services and meditation classes. And that came I wasn't trying to write a song, I was just meditating. And it came to me that way. And that's what I hear. Who sees things? Because I want to talk to you after. Anybody see things as part of your, really see things? So I'm like jealous of that. But I mean, it's all good. But I sometimes go into meditation saying, I want to see this vision. But like I said, I hear things. And I experience these really profound feelings, just transcendent, that you get to where you can't even explain what they are. Sometimes I don't even tell or share with people about an experience I've had because words just make it sound goofy. It's just a feeling you can't explain. But vision can be an event that appears vividly or credibly to the mind, although not actually present. Now, this is really getting to the meat of what I'm talking about here. As we hear things, faith is the evidence of things not yet seen. So you just automatically know that it's going to be there and appear. Okay, another one is something seen or otherwise perceived during such an experience. A vision revealed its message. So this is changing it over a little bit, saying the vision actually becomes a noun. So it's something that's seen or perceived otherwise during the experience. So whatever you're seeing, is whatever that vision is. So like I said, I could use this in a sentence and say, I did not see the seagull in my vision. A vivid, imaginative conception or anticipation. Something seen, an object of sight. And this one's nice. I've heard this one before, a little different take on it. A scene or a person of extraordinary beauty. Have you seen that? Oh, she was just a vision. So silly. You see that like in those romantic comedies. She was a vision of loveliness and I lost my breath. And other silly things. So these are just some ideas of what visioning is. And sometimes, so I put this into two categories. Sometimes we have what we think are visions. They're just ideas or concepts that come from a sense of scarcity. Sometimes we get thoughts and ideas that are coming from a place of fear. And on my path, one of the hardest things that's been for me is distinguishing where is this exactly coming from. If I'm afraid to take a step, or I just rented a brand new apartment, and it was a huge step of faith for me, financially. And as I would see the vision of the place and how it would be decorated, and I start visioning being there, which I know is the quickest way to get something is to act like it's already there in our imagination. Sometimes, though, when I was in fear, I would say things, and it felt real at that time. I would say, like, well, you're really not being logical here. Like, is this something you should really do? And then I would doubt, and sometimes I would get confused about where is that coming from? Is that guidance telling me not to do it? Or do you understand what I'm saying at all? I mean, we get ideas and vision all the time, and do you ever wonder, like, well, where is that coming from? And I think that's the reason why we sometimes are afraid to take that step. The big step where it's just whatever it is, leaping, if it's going to a new job, if it's something in your relationship, if it's just a place of being and understanding yourself. We're sometimes afraid to do what that vision tells us because we're just unsure the origin of it. Like, what's bringing this up for me? And it's taken me years, and I'm still working on it. And what I know for sure is when I feel elated and when I feel good and when I feel happy and joyful, then I know that it's right. And it's coming from the deepest place of vision. It's coming from a divine place, a place that is pushing me, even if I'm uncomfortable, is pushing me into an expanded version of myself. Just a little background about, why I'm getting this place. So I had this beautiful place on Dauphine Street in the French Quarter which I manifested with my imagination. It's an incredible little story. When I first came here to become the spiritual director, for the first year, I was just helping out. I came every other Sunday. Some of you may have been around during that time, and Lord Lisa Wall was our spiritual director, and I would come every other Sunday and speak, and then I would go travel the other Sunday. But when it was time to come to New Orleans, it was actually time to move here from Nashville, because I was working at Unity of Nashville, I decided that it was going to be easy to find a beautiful place to live in the French Quarter with something that I could afford, with the budget that I had. Now, this was a leap of faith, because the church was only paying me a small stipend to be here every other Sunday, and that's why I traveled, because I'd make a bunch of money on the Sunday off. I would go to, speak at a conference or something, and then that kind of funded my ability to be here. But when you're self-employed, and I was at that time, you really learn to trust. That's what you about being self-employed. Self-employed people, can I get a witness? And people say, well, I was filling out this form that asked me how much I made during that time, how much I made. I was like, I don't have a clue. I don't know what's going to happen. If I go to a church in San Diego and they have 1,000 people, they may buy 100 CDs or they may buy 10. I don't know. That's when I traveled. I had to trust. And I was really, really trusting at that time when I first moved here. And I'll never forget, I got guidance. And this is how I knew that it was divine. And this is how you can tell the difference. Is a very good friend of mine named Lawrence Gobble, who I knew back in the 90s. We called him the social butterfly because he knows everybody in New Orleans, everybody. And I was sitting there at lunch one day and I heard, call Lawrence Gobble. You haven't talked to him in a while, just call him. And sometimes we hear those things and it's just our voice, so it just sounds like nonchalant. But that's God. The voice of God is you. It's your voice. Unless you have some special auditory things, you're not going to hear a booming thing in a clock, and you're probably not going to see an eagle swoop down and peck you on the head. Your voice is God's voice. Don't you see that? And I forget that. I'm saying this to myself most of all, but in that moment, it was just a simple thing. It felt like just a thought that Jack had, but that was God. Call Lawrence Gobble. That's an interesting little thing. I haven't talked to him in like 3 or 4 years. But I did it. I called Lawrence and I said, Lawrence, I'm going to make the move to New Orleans. I've been at this church now for 6 months, and it's time for me to move there. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it, but I need an apartment, and it's all going to work out. And it was a huge leap of faith. And he said, oh my God, it's so weird that you just called. Now, you know that's God when they say that. So weird that you just called. He said, the apartment that I've been subletting on Dauphine, right in the French Quarter, in the middle of everything, that I've been subletting for 20 years at the price that I've been subletting for 20 years since the 90s, just came available. And it's furnished. And it's available at the 1st of June. When were you planning to move? Well, guess what? 1st of June. So I literally got in my car with some food and my clothes and a few things and walked into a house that was fully furnished and just started living. The easiest move I've ever done. I just pulled in the driveway and just walked in and started living. Made a little snack and was like, well, that was easy. Went to bed, put my linens on there. It's never been that easy. Because moving is traumatizing. I don't know if it is to you, but to me it's such a traumatizing thing. And I thought, wow, this is so easy. And I was paying a price that started in the 90s. Now, things have almost doubled in some places in the French Quarter since the 90s, so you can't even believe how much I was paying for this place. And to top it off, it had 5 parking spaces secured through a gate. If you know anything about the French Quarter, if you ever lived in the French Quarter or tried to go down there for French Quarter Fest, 5 parking spaces might have been 5 gold bars. 5 parking spaces that were all mine that went through a secured gate. Could not be better than that. But how I knew that that was right, and I knew it wasn't the voice of fear, because every now and then that voice would say, like, how are you going to pay for this? Even though it was cheap for the quarter, it was still money, It wasn't free. How are you going to pay for this? And I began to clearly distinguish the visionary voice within me that's moving into the highest expression of who I am. Feels like that. It feels good, and it feels right, and it feels joyful. And it makes you go, oh, God, that feels so wonderful. It feels so good. If you envision yourself doing it, it just feels great. So I moved into this apartment. I lived there for 1.5 years, and it was wonderful. I loved it. And then got the notice they're selling It was a family that had had it for years. That's what was so cheap. It wasn't run by a rental agency. They were selling it, and the guy who wanted it to make condos into. The first letter I got was, "Dear Jack, we bought the property. You're welcome to stay as we start to get the license to transfer it into condos. It may take a while, but the rent will be doubled." So I'm like, maybe let's get out of here. And the place I once loved and meant so much to me, now was the place I knew I had to leave. And although I was saddened by it, I knew for sure that it was time to go. And that was the cosmic 2x4 when I got that letter. And my friend Stephen had rented a 2-bedroom apartment on Madison Street, which I love. It's my favorite. You guys know where Madison Street is in Porter? Most people don't even know there is a Madison Street in the Porter. It's a little 1-block street close to Jackson Square. It's only 1 block long, so there's not a lot of tourists, there's not a lot of stuff going on there, and I've always loved that street. And Stephen said, well, if it's just temporary, why don't you move in with me for a little while, because I got 2 bedrooms. So, well, wow, once again, easy, paying hardly any money for rent, living on the street I want to live in, and here I go. And I didn't even have to move, another easy move. Just left the furniture there and just drove a couple streets off and just started living somewhere else. It's really wild when you do that. It's the weirdest feeling to be living in one place one morning and then just drive over 4 blocks and be living somewhere else. It's crazy. It took me a while to adjust. Gorgeous courtyard, one of the most beautiful courtyards in New Orleans. It's just a beautiful place. And I was going to stay there 6 months, and now 3.5 years later, I started feeling that imagination, that vision, that thing within me that says it's time to branch out. I want to write more music. I want to do some things. There's so many things that are sprouting out in my imagination, and I realized I had to have my own place to do what I wanted to do in the way I wanted to do it. And there's 3 other apartments in the little place that we are. So this is what I manifested. Get this. If you've been over to visit me, you know, across the courtyard, there's 2 big, beautiful apartments, and a dentist from Monroe, Louisiana rented them but is never there. They rented them as a tax write-off. So I have the whole courtyard to myself. And the cats can run around free. It's bound by 2 buildings, so they can't get out. And then we were in the bottom one over here, and then the top one, I started visioning, I want to live in that place. And the girl that lived there had just signed a 3-year lease to stay there, so the leases were locked up. But I kept hearing that voice, you're going to move up there. You're going to move up there. She got a call to go to Santa Fe to become manager of an art gallery that she was doing, she was managing an art gallery in the French Quarter. They opened one in Santa Fe. She said, I'll be gone for 6 weeks. She said, why don't you use my apartment while I'm gone? So there'll at least be some activity in there. I'm like, this is getting interesting. Because like I said, the quickest way to have something manifest in your life is to act as though it's already happened. You know, it's a silly statement if you tear it down, but it's true. Fake it till you make it. Have you ever heard that? But it really works if you can do it. And you do it like with common sense. You don't go and buy a Mercedes if you really don't have the money to do it and just drive around for 2 months till they repossess it. It's not exact. But act as though it's already happened. So guess what I did during those months that she was away? She was only going to be gone the first 3 weeks, and then it turned into November and December. This was last year. So guess what Jack did during that time? I moved up there and acted like it was my apartment. I brought the cats up there with her permission. I cooked in there. I slept in there. I had my sister come over and visit, and I would say, welcome to my apartment. And everybody would laugh and go, ha, ha, ha. Well, guess what? The girl got promoted to a high position in her company, and she said, I hate to do this. I've got to break my lease. She called me and said, I hate to tell you this because you're going to have new neighbors above you. I'm going to have to break my lease and leave. And I smiled. She had just signed a 3-year lease. They were all locked up. But guess what? Spirit had a different idea for me that transcended the law of the lease and the law of how things appeared. And that place that I had already made mine in my imagination, I'm living in now. It became mine. And it seemed so, it never occurred to me that it wasn't going to happen. And that voice of doubt, the one that feels limiting and small and makes you feel icky in your stomach, that one came up a lot. It said, you're really stretching here. Really, really stretching here. Because compared to paying a small amount to rent one of the bedrooms in my friend's house, to have them all in place was a big stretch financially. But I knew that that was the voice of fear. I knew that was the voice of fear. And the powerful imagination and the voice that was calling me forward to be something more, that was the voice that felt good and made me feel... When I walk in that apartment even to this day, my heart just opens up. And I know that I'm supposed to be there. Now, you can't make this stuff happen. I could not have convinced this girl to move out of there. She said over and over, I'm a New Orleans girl, I'm never going to move. And she moved to Santa Fe. Which was a stretch for her. And now, I saw her a couple of weeks ago at the gallery here in New Orleans. She came in to visit. She said, Jack, I was so sad about moving to Santa Fe, but guess what? I love it. So it was like a win-win. She's like, and they let me out of my lease because it was job related, and they loved me so much. And they did the same thing for me. They said, we know how you take care of things because you've been down below, and the woman that owns the whole place said, you know what, we're going to keep it at the price it's been for 15 years. And we're going to totally renovate it. It has original hardwood floors. They came in and sanded them and redid the floors. Very expensive. They repainted. They put in brand new washer and dryer. I have a washer and dryer. I have the courtyard. I have all of it. I have a beautiful balcony. I've strung lights on. And it just feels amazing. That at one time, that was just in my imagination. That was just a vision. And I know that that vision came from the part of me that even though I was worried about how I was going to afford it, why do we worry so much about money? That is the one thing that keeps us from doing things. Usually the first excuse that we use when Spirit calls us to do a big thing and to step forward, whether it be open a yoga studio or move to a new place or expand this and that, the very first thing that the ego says was, how are you going to pay for that? I am so sick of that. So sick of the ego trying to make us feel limited. And the reason why the ego does this, the ego has a lot of investment in you being small. The ego has invested a lot in you thinking that you're small. So vision, imagination, why it's so important. I just gave you some examples about things I could never have made happen through my own will. I could have not knocked on doors and petitioned and marched up and down the corridor trying to find a place. It happened with such ease. It just happened. And I'm like, wow, I just moved in. I was going to give you, we're going to do a quick visioning, and that's why I'm glad that the girls are out here with us today. If you were here last week, I talked about this, but I don't know the date yet, so please keep your ears open. I'm trying to figure out the best time to do it. So let me ask here, let me just do a general thing right now rather than send out emails. If we do a church visioning, and what I mean by that is different than a meditation. We're going to sit and we're going to envision and we're going to write down stuff and we're going to sit in this church and just vision what it would feel like if there was 100 people crammed in here. We're going to feel like what it would be if we had a 4-piece band up here. We're going to feel those things together as a group. It's going to be I promise you it's going to be a very powerful thing for us as a spiritual community. Would it be better to do it on a weeknight or after church? Any thoughts? After church? I hear a weeknight? Or after church? Well, maybe we should do a little poll in an email. The reason I'm saying this is that I want as many people to be here as possible. And some people drive quite a ways to come here on Sunday morning, and that's why I was thinking maybe Sunday after church would be good, so they wouldn't have to drive another way. But we'll figure out the right time. We'll actually vision for the visioning time. How about that? But we're going to come together and we're going to vision, because I realized so clearly last week that, to me, just for me personally, that's been the missing piece for what's happening with us. Because I will tell you, we had a big offering last week, but we're in a really serious financial trouble. I'm just going to say it like that. I'm not going to go over numbers because they're not important, but look at... this doesn't really show you, but I was going to mention, you must see that, Stephen? See, make sure that you always take this home with you, because it gives our financial statements and it reminds you of all the classes during the week. So please take this home with you. Last week we had a wonderful offering, and we made the most on our Fifth Sunday feast that we ever had before. So we ended up having a great offering. But the weeks before then have not been good. So I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm not going to give numbers because it doesn't matter. But what will turn that around is visioning. Because I realized that for me, because I've been here now 5.5 years, I become a little complacent about it. And it's not, I can't build a church. This is everybody's church. I'm just the spiritual director. I'm here for a certain reason. It takes us all to do this. And that's why we're going to do this visioning together, because I can vision for this all day long. And if you guys aren't included with it, it ain't going to happen. I'm doing it in my personal life, and it's time to transfer that into what the church is doing. So we have some really big things to catch up financially. Just put it that way. And the missing piece is visioning, and that's why we're going to do this, because we've been acting by default. We've just been letting things happen, and then seeing how much was brought in on Sunday, and then applying it to those bills, and on and on. And it's time to stop that. It's just time to stop it and create the vision for our spiritual center that we want, because we have that creative power within us in our imagination. And I'd like the kids to be involved with it too, because they have the most unlimited imagination of any of us, for the most part. So would you guys help us vision for the church to make it bigger and have more kids and have more fun? And wouldn't you like to have more kids back there, or do you want all the treats to yourself? Oh, she wants all the treats to herself. Well, maybe Abby can. Well, there's something to be said for that. That could actually be a talk. I can have all the treats for myself.
That's why we don't do treats.
That's why we don't do treats. Exactly. So we're going to do a short little visioning together, and then I will let you know. And please make it a priority to be a part of this visioning whenever we end up doing it. I was going to read you, just to close out, I was going to read you a few quotes from Neville Goddard once again, who I just love, and it just has empowered me so much. So put your seatbelts on. Neville says, he liked to be called Neville. I just imagine this person was a character. I would have loved to have met him, because he wanted to be called Neville, like Cher and Madonna. He's like, I'm Neville. He never uses his last name. Neville says, all transformation begins with an intense burning desire to be transformed. So the first thing is you actually have to want to be transformed. So how bad do we want to be transformed in our personal lives and here at our spiritual center? That's where transformation begins. The first steps in the renewing of the mind, as Jesus told us, because it all happens in here. Nothing's going to happen out here until it happens in here and in here. The first step in the renewing of the mind is desire. You must want to be different. Now, this is something that we overlook a lot in our personal lives. We say we want change and we want to expand, but there's a deep-seated desire sometimes to not change, to stay comfortable, even if that comfortable position isn't the best for us. Everyone's been in that spot before. You're in a comfortable place and you know that you're being called to do something better, but it's just easy to stay comfortable. So we have to want to be different. How that applies to us as a spiritual community, we have to actually want to be different. Then you must make your future dream a present fact. That's a bumper sticker right there. Make your future dream a present fact. You do this by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You do this by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Now, in your personal life, I promise you this works. It has happened to me for big things so many times. I'm not just babbling on. If you want something in your life, act like it has already happened. It will come to you so fast it'll make your head spin. By desiring to be other than what you are, you can create an ideal of the person you want to be and assume that you are already that person. And this assumption is persisted in until it becomes your dominant feeling. The attainment of your ideal is inevitable. In other words, it must happen. If the assumption, the vision, the change is persisted in until that becomes your dominant feeling, the attainment of your ideal is inevitable. You are already that which you want to be. And your refusal to believe this is the only reason you do not see it. This is powerful in and of itself for us to understanding who we are. You are already that which you want to be. You're it already. Your refusal to believe it is the only reason you do not see it. Sometimes when I say you are holy, it makes people feel really uncomfortable and they cringe. I visibly see it. When I say you are holy. And the reason is we don't want really to believe that. And this is what this is talking about. You are already that which you want to be, and your refusal to believe it is the only reason you do not see it. Another Neville quote is, praying is recognizing yourself to be that which you desire to be, rather than begging God for that which you desire. That's another bumper sticker if you could squeeze all that in. So listen to this, redefining prayer. Praying is recognizing yourself to be that which you desire to be, rather than begging God for which you desire. This is the last one, and might be the most powerful one. Disregard appearances, conditions, in fact, all evidence of your senses that deny the fulfillment of your desire. Rest in the assumption that you are already what you want to be, for in that determined assumption, you and your infinite being are merged in creative unity, and with your infinite being, all things are possible. Now you can substitute that, say God or Spirit, whatever, it doesn't matter. We hear that word all the time. With God, all things are possible, but for a lot of us, it's just turned into a cliche. With God, all things are possible. I mean, we can say it and not even understand what that means. But it's saying here, I'm going to break it down. Disregard appearances, conditions. In fact, all evidence of your senses that deny the fulfillment of your desire. So we disregard it. Abraham says another way. It says, never mind what is. So whatever is, you never mind that. Remember what I said last week? That if you keep looking at what you're doing and recreating that, you're basically eating gross leftovers every day. What you see in your life today are the leftovers of what you thought and created yesterday. If you're tired of those leftovers, you disregard appearances, conditions, all evidence of your senses that deny the fulfillment of your desire. Rest in the assumption that you are already what you want to be. For in that determined assumption, you and your infinite being are merged in creative unity. And with your infinite being, all things are possible. Man, when I read that, it just makes it seem so easy. Really, it does. Like, this is easy stuff to do, but it's not simple. This is very easy to do, but not simple to totally embrace this. So some of the questions that we would ask, and we're going to do a short visioning, but some of the questions that we would ask as we do visioning is, we have a time of like meditating, visioning. And as I said, visioning is very different from meditation. In meditation, you desire for your mind, your thoughts, your intentions to be empty. That's why I use that word a lot during meditation. Empty. Just completely empty. In visioning, you actually allow your mind to be quiet and still, but it's open to specifically see and hear the vision that will come to you from the infinite. So meditation is going into the nothingness, and visioning is moving into the nothingness, but waiting to hear what it is to do. Like specifically waiting for that. Some of the questions that might come of silence is, what is the highest vision or perfect idea for unity of Metairie? What must we become to empower this vision? What must be released? That might be the most important one. What must be embraced? Is there any information that we need in this very moment that we could do? Because no matter how big the vision is, there's always a first step. And part of visioning is to know, so what do we do right now? Like right now, today, practically what do we do? One definition of visioning is this: becoming a space of deep listening, available to hear Spirit's highest vision or idea, a process by which we hear, feel, see, and catch God's plan for any particular project we are working on. Let's say this one again. Becoming a space of deep listening, available to hear Spirit's highest vision or idea, a process by which we hear, feel, see, and catch God's plan for any particular project we are working on. And one other quick thing, the question here is visioning different from visualization? Because we talk about visualization all the time. Yes. Visualization is mentally seeing the things that you wish to have or to do, which works. Visualization is mentally seeing the things you wish to have or do. An example is to visualize yourself giving a successful speech. Or me coming on Sunday and visualizing that everything goes well and the music and the sound and everything goes well. Visioning is catching God's idea. It's two really different things. Visioning is catching God's idea, which is already present within us, but we're just not available in the space to hear it. Now, that's true for your personal life as well. God's vision can be there, but if you're not in a space and willing to hear it, you're not going to hear it. Visioning is catching God's idea. We are not telling God what we want, which is usually the first thing we do when we vision. We say, Spirit, open up the vision for us, and we'd like to have, you end after that sentence. What is your vision for us? We are not telling God what we want. We are sensing into a divine idea for us that is so wonderful it is beyond our imagination. Like beyond our imagination. We are opening the way for that which is unlimited to come into view into our experience of life. We are volunteering ourselves as a place in consciousness that is available to allow the perfection and wholeness of the one life to become manifest. That's visioning for us. So would you join me in a quick visioning before we head out today? Just to give you an example. So just like we do in meditation, you can just become still. And actively set an intention within yourself to know that in the silence and the stillness that you experience, there's a message. There's an idea. There's something that is yet to be that we can't see in the physical yet. That is already there in the deepest core of our vision. And for this vision, I specifically speak of our spiritual center, Unity of Metairie. Without guessing or making up ideas, just sit in the stillness, not trying to think ahead of what God might want, but in the stillness, just holding that thought. What is the greatest version of the spiritual center that there can be? What is God's idea for us? Letting go of any of our thoughts. At this point, letting go of any specifics or numbers, but just that feeling of having a vibrant spiritual center full of children that have been brought here by their parents to grow and to learn. Feeling this room being completely full, with some people having to sit in the welcome center as we carry chairs out. And even though we don't like it, the air conditioner can't even hardly keep us cold because there's so many bodies in here. And with that, we move into stillness. Opening our hearts and minds to the vision. Spirit's vision. For as we catch this vision and join in with it, nothing is impossible. Literally, nothing is impossible. It's not just a phrase. It is the truth. Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. And so we wait for a moment in that stillness, anticipating that vision. Anticipating a thought that reveals to us. Anticipating the feeling of the vibrancy of knowing that Unity of Metairie is a great idea in the mind of God, and we are here for a holy purpose. And so we breathe into a stillness and wait. For just a minute or so, we just wait. this magnificent place. For everyone that has ever walked through these doors. For everyone that is looking for us right now. We connect and catch that vision of Spirit. Knowing that what we hear, we implement, and that we can't go wrong, and it is inevitable. So we breathe in with gratitude and say, thank you, God, thank you, God. Nothing is impossible. Thank you, God. I said if you would keep your ears open for when we have this time, you can already feel the power of what that could be. What came up for me is just something that I don't always think about, but immediately I knew and said it, that there are people looking for us. There are literally, it was so powerful, like I just felt somebody down the road. I mean, I don't know if it was specifically a person, maybe just a collective, but I was like, people are hurting and sad and sorrowful and don't know what's happening in the world, and they're fearful, and they're looking for us. They're literally looking for us. That's part of our vision. The question is, are we ready? And I thank you for being a part of that. And you know, if ideas come up during the week, you can do this on your own for yourself personally and also for the church. Please share those, because it's all of us together doing this. If we all could latch on to this vision, we would transform literally in a very short time, a month, 6 months, a very, very short time. And I'm grateful to those that have come before us, that have shared these truths, that were willing to step out of the box and say things that weren't popular at the time so that we could benefit from it in this moment. We're especially grateful to our founders, the Fillmores, for all the powerful work they did as they visioned to be a light and to share their thoughts of healing and prayer and what it means. It has literally transformed the world, and it is the reason that we are in this room today. We are grateful to Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, thankful to Neville Goddard. Thank you to everyone that's inspired us, Wayne Dyer, those that have come before us. I know that unity of Metairie is a great idea in the mind of God. I know that each and every one of us is divinely guided, always protected, always safe, held in the hands of grace. The beloved, you are the holy child of God, created in His very image. This is the truth about you, and this is the truth about me. And so it is. Amen and amen. And recognizing how blessed we are, how prosperous we are, disregarding the appearance of anything else, this morning we give to support this magnificent spiritual community. We give with gratitude, knowing that as we give, it comes back to us multiplied. That is the flow of abundance. That's the flow, the law of life. We give with an open, grateful heart, realizing how blessed we are. We bring our offering forward as an act of faith. And as you give your offering in the basket, you can take a affirmation with you to remind you during the day. If you prefer to use a credit card or debit card, you can leave the bill out in the Welcome Center. You can take that from you there. So we give this morning, saying thank you, God, for we are so blessed. We are so grateful for all that we have. Thank you, life. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. Say, we are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful for all I have. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful. We are so blessed. And I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. We are grateful to everyone that gives, and to everyone watching us online, we thank you for joining us today. You can visit our website at unityofmetairie.com and go to the How to Support Us tab. That's the easiest and best way to give if you've been spiritually fed by joining us today through the internet. We're so grateful that you joined us. We hope to see you again soon as well. And for everyone else here in this room, for everyone that gives of their time, their talent, and their treasure, we are eternally grateful, knowing that we are here for a holy purpose. Thank you, God, for this wonderful place. And so it is. Amen. So once again, if you're here for the first time, we sure do welcome you. We hope to see you again. Make sure to take home this packet. And if you have any questions, just email or call us here at the church office. We're welcome to answer any questions you may have, and hopefully you're able to fill out the little form in the back. But we welcome you. Namaste. We honor the presence of God within you. And thank you for the kids for being out here today. We love you guys hard. We swear to God. It wasn't too bad, was it? Was it kind of cool? You guys had a good time? Yeah. At the beginning, it was fun? Yeah. Well, you know, speaking the truth, what can you say? Well, I told you that you weren't going to have as much fun out here you do back there. Sometimes I want to just go join them back there and say, forget the whole thing. But anyway, we welcome our visitors. We'll go through these couple of quick and then have a couple announcements. Also, Wednesday is our Wednesday Faith Blitz. So 6 p.m., come for meditation. Come to reach that place within us where nothing is impossible. Right after that, we have a spiritual discussion on A Course in Miracles. This book has changed the lives of millions of people and brought peace to people around the world for the last 40 years. 50 years, actually. 7 p.m., this is a lively discussion with some great spiritual seekers. So Wednesday night's a good time to get involved. Second Harvest Food Bank. May is Pasta and Sauce Month. We believe in getting back into the community. While you're at the grocery store, just pick up your favorite sauce that's non-perishable and pasta. Drop it off, and we'll be hauling that stuff off to those that may need it. Your $1 for something could make the difference in someone's life. So thank you for that. We love giving to Second Harvest Food Bank. We have the new daily words in. For May and June, you get 2 months of inspiration, a daily dose of inspiration for just $5. Take that home. It's a great way to start the day to get your imagination helping with your vision throughout the day to get it rolling in the right direction. So those are available out there. We'll have those available for you, just $5. And where are we going? Oh, I was going to also mention Amazon Smile. If you buy something on Amazon, go to smile.amazon.com. Pick us as a charity. You see a drop down and a list, and then shop till you drop. And we get a percentage of those sales. You don't pay extra. It just comes out of whatever you pay. We get a little check from them every month, so thank you for that. We have CDs of today's message for $5 out in the Welcome Center if you want to listen to it or take it home for somebody else to listen. Just $5 to remind us about visioning. Lunch Bunch today. Is it at Hummus and More?
Yeah.
Yay, Hummus and More. This is a great time to get to know people better. Didn't we have a great time last week at our Fifth Sunday Feast? It was so much fun. Oh my God, the food was so good. I have the cooks to blame because I got home and I had eaten that lasagna and I fell out of the bed for hours. Him right there, he's the one that did all that. Actually, everybody that cooked last week, would you mind standing up? I mean, it was really awesome. I hate to keep pushing this over, but come on, stand up. There we go. Thank you guys. I mean, I think it was one of the best we've ever had, not to knock all the other ones. I mean, I was the first chef. I did my world famous baked spaghetti a couple months ago, but it was awesome, so thank you guys so much. So today, hummus and more. Mother's Day is next Sunday. It kind of crept up this year. I don't know how to get here so fast. We have a very special service for the mothers. Please plan to join us that day. Bring your mama, bring your kids. We'll be honoring all of the nurturing, mothering figures in our lives. Even if they're not biological, if it's through adoption, all of us have someone that helped nurture us. And it may not be our biological mother. This day is going to be about metaphysically honoring the nurturing people in our life as well as our actual birth mothers. So join us. We're going to have a special day and a beautiful rose ceremony. So don't miss this day. It will next Sunday, the 13th. So a few other things. Paul and Brenda, would you tell us about the class on Tuesday? Facing your fears?
Yeah, this week we do a class on facing the fears within. And fear comes from two places. Things that happen on the outside in our world today. And all you got to do is look at the news and we get scared. But also, as Jack was talking about, many times those fears come from within. That ego that keeps us from achieving that what we want or that what we know. All those doubts, those fears. And this class is that same thing we always talk about. We either live in fear or we live in love. So how do we take those fears and transform that into love that leads us to be the person that we already are, we don't realize it because of that fear.
Awesome. That's a great way. You need to talk about class every week. That's better than I would do. This is awesome. These classes are great. This will be this Tuesday night at 7 p.m., which is, I believe, the May the 8th. I think I get my numbers all right here. May the 8th. Join them. They have such great class. And what a great time as we're doing this visioning to get in touch with this idea of facing fears and letting go of those fears and embracing what is already there. You know, that's why Unity uses the word affirmative prayer. Unity has never used the word per se prayer because prayer implies that we're asking God for something. Affirmative prayer is saying God has given you everything by the nature of who you are. And affirmative prayer is just affirming that you already have it. You know, that's what it's all about, really. The hokey pokey really is what it's all about. One other quick thing, if you notice, our beautiful floors need attention. It takes a minute to do these floors. We can't just do them every week. And Tony has gracefully and gratefully volunteered to put together a committee. If you're interested in helping keeping these floors beautiful, Carl and Ken and some others did such a great job on putting them together. Tony, will you stand up so everybody can see you? How many volunteers do you think we need?
Well, I think we can get the job done at least once a month. People can volunteer to come together. I don't think we need more than 6 or 7 people.
Okay.
The biggest part is going to be moving the chairs, getting them out of the way. The floor part's going to be easy. And then putting the chairs back.
Okay.
You know, and I've got our list out there if you want to sign up. We don't have a date yet because we have to see when you have available time. And those that have the most available time at the same time, that's when we'll schedule it.
Awesome. So if you want to be of service to the church and would love to do something like that, I'm sure we'll turn it into a party. There's a sign-up sheet. Sign up and we'll be in touch about when that will happen. But monthly, we want to keep these floors looking spotless and beautiful. I've mentioned it already, but June 10th, put into your book is that is our 40th birthday, Unity of Methery's 40th anniversary. It's creeping up on us as well. It's just about 5 weeks away. That is the day we're going to celebrate and honor our history. We're going to honor those that have come before us. We're going to have a big party. We're going to have a potluck. We're going to have some fun games. We're going to have a blast. But please make sure and be there that day and bring friends along with you. And I think that's it. We're going to stand up and sing our song, God and Everything, as we affirmed that this morning. Thanks for joining in with us today. We sure hope to see you at lunch today at Hummus some more. And the girls are going to join us. How awesome. And thank you to everybody that joined us online. You can sing along too. You can probably see the lyrics. I see joy, I see peace, I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see happiness, I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God in everything. Now I feel joy, I feel peace. I feel goodness surrounding me. I feel love in every breath I breathe. I feel God in everything. I feel happiness, I feel freedom. I feel the beauty that lives in me. I feel affection in what life brings. I feel God in everything. Now the third one is always our choice. We're going to choose together. You guys ready? Y'all sounded great today. I choose joy, I choose peace, I choose beauty surrounding me. I choose love in every breath I breathe. I choose God in everything. I choose happiness, I choose freedom. I choose the beauty that lives in me. I choose perfection in what life brings. I choose God in everything. I know joy, I know peace, I know goodness surrounding me. I know love in every breath I breathe. I know God in everything. I know happiness, I know freedom. I know the beauty that lives in me. I know perfection in what life brings. I know God in everything. I know God in everything. Namaste, 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 namaste. Thank you, girls, for singing along with us this morning. They were awesome. Do y'all give them a hand? You're getting braver and braver as the days go on. So we head out today with our prayer of protection. Thank you, everyone that's part of our service today. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a great, great afternoon, everybody. Hope to see you soon. Come join us Wednesday night.
Questions and